you've been able to break down your opponents fairly easily with your pace and volume of punches in the past. Do you think you're going to have an edge in this fight, especially in the later rounds?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the longer the fight goes, that'll probably go in my favor. I start a bit slow and finish each round strong, and get stronger and stronger until my opponent wilts away. And I think he's a really strong starter too. So yeah, I think that's how it's going to go.
All right. Do you see just anything generally in his game
that I can exploit?
Yeah.
I don't know, there's certain things, I guess that's part of what my whole game plan for the last few months has been built around, but I feel like I'm a more explosive competitor, but yeah, we'll see on Saturday night.
This question is for both Chris and Curtis. I'll ask Chris first. You guys have fought in the past, amateur days. You guys were both fairly green to the sport at that point in your career. You guys have both amassed a great record coming up to this fight, both undefeated as pros. Some outstanding performances. Just talk about your progression individually as yourself, not the other person, but as yourself. How have you seen yourself grow as a fighter from that fight till now?
I got nothing for that. Pass.
How have you seen him grow then?
Microphone.
You know what? Yeah, he's gotten steadily better. I think every fight he gets. A lot more crisper, a lot cleaner. He's finishing guys quickly, and you know what? I think that he's had steady progression, and I've come leaps and bounds since our last fight. Because I was pretty new when we first fought back in 2012. I only had a couple months training. I was still smoking cigarettes, and I never took any martial arts like wrestling or boxing, kickboxing, none of that. So yeah, I was pretty brand new to the sport at the time, even though I had 4 fights. So yeah, I've come a long way since then, and so has he, so it'll be a good fight.
Curtis? I guess both yourself and Chris.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with that. I think, I don't know if I've been steady and he's been leaps and bounds, but, whatever. But I feel like we both definitely progressed. I mean, it's funny, I watched that fight back a little while ago, and, you can still see, like, the base of us is, like, the same kind of similar styles, but, just the technique, the evolution, kind of the add-ons that we've put onto our styles have, it's just like a whole another thing. I saw some things that I was doing and it was like almost embarrassing, like at this point now. That fight was actually a big fight for me. The 2 fights that I had before him, I won quickly with submissions. And it just kind of put my mind in the assuming that that's just how it would go from then on out and whatever. So I went in a little overconfident in that aspect, and when it didn't work out, I was kind of surprised. And then so since that fight, I've been that fight, just because it didn't work out in my favor, it forced me really to evaluate what I was doing with my training, what holes did I actually have that I kind of maybe was ignoring before, and it's really helped me to evolve since then.
Curtis, I know you your last 2 performances ended in not so great fashion for the other guy. Not really how you expected it to go down. I know you're training now Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wise with East Van BJJ, Wally over there. Just explain how that sort of aspect, because I know your stand-up was sort of your bread and butter. How has the ground game sort of evolved since starting with Walter?
Yeah, they've been awesome. Their team there is a super strong team. I was training with kind of a smaller team before. The coach was great as well there, but the team was a little smaller. East Van, it's filled with beasts. I went in there and it was a pretty humbling experience. Showing up, and it's funny, sometimes now they call me champ or whatever, and then tap me out right after. So it's a funny thing. But yeah, they're awesome. Walter's super enthusiastic as a coach in jiu-jitsu, and also even just helping out with my MMA career, it's been great. It's been an awesome place.
Via your social media, I see that you post some videos, not necessarily all videos that are just highlighting fights, but a lot of it is, you walking on the beach or you in the woods and stuff like that. It seems like it's a lot of mental preparation. How much of that goes into your game for camp-wise?
Quite a bit, actually. I like to spend a lot of time in the woods, by myself. It's cold. you know, you get lonely. And it opens the mind to like new thinking. You know what I mean? And there's no distractions out there. You know, maybe some birds or something, but yeah, I do a lot of that because we can all train hard. You know, everyone's got the skills nowadays, but you need that mental edge, I think, to really be good.
Curtis has mentioned in previous interviews that he feels he's a pretty complete fighter, pretty well-rounded, but just hasn't had a chance to display his stand-up skills in some of his fights. Do you think there's a chance that he'll stand with you in this fight?
Yeah, because I'm gonna make him. And yeah, I think for sure. You know, it's an MMA fight. Of course, he's gonna strike. He trains striking, but he's gonna look. You know what? I think both of us. The trick's gonna be is when one's. You gotta make the one guy think that you're going to wrestle, but you're coming to strike. And whoever can keep the other guy off his toes is most likely gonna get off the first punch, and you know, might lead to a victory. Because once you start falling behind, it's gonna be pretty hard to catch up.
Is there any bad blood between you guys? Because I mean, you guys both seem pretty composed with each other, and leading up to this fight, do you need to sort of mentally create that bad blood to get inside the cage against each other?
No, you know what? I learned you don't gotta do that. You don't gotta make things tense at the weigh-ins. You don't gotta, you know, talk trash and none of that stuff. It's a competition, you know. It's yeah, I think he's a good guy.
Curtis?
Yeah, same. I mean, I think you know, our weigh-in for our first fight, we had a little confrontation or whatever, but I mean, we both kind of said
I
it.
was dealing with some outside stuff and I was a little grumpy and decided to take it out on you.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I think we've grown since then, and you know, it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned in this sport. It's a sport, and you know, I think most people, when they think of punching and kicking people, they couldn't do it unless they're mad or something. It's like an emotional thing or whatever. But you know, to me, emotions removed. It's just, this is a business, and you know, this is what we do. So nothing against them, but we're gonna fight. Yeah.
How important is the mental game during the fight? Like is that something you think about leading up to a fight where you might be able to, I don't know, forcing to quit is a little bit strong, but you know what? Just win some little mental battles during the fight. Is that an aspect that you think about?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, planting doubt in your opponent can, you know, make them kind of, maybe when they physically could, you know, act like they couldn't or something like that. As far as is that going to happen with him, you know, that's up to him. That's out of my control. But you know, I'm going to be putting the pressure on. I'm going to be planting the seeds of doubt, and you know, we'll see how he handles it. But yeah, it's a huge factor.
This is the #1 ranked matchup across Canada. It's been put out there by media. You don't often see that between two guys with a combined 5 pro fights. How important is it to you that people inside the sport recognize your potential and that you're finally getting some of that well-deserved props from not just here in BC or even in the Lower Mainland, but all across Canada?
Yeah, it don't matter one bit. I'm not astonished by the lights or the cameras or the rankings or none of that stuff. I got my own reasons for doing this, and I'm not. Yeah, it's definitely not the camera and the lights and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's all just tricks and mirrors, I guess. I don't know. It's nothing.